Hackenburg on the road against Wisconsin. Last game of the season. Season high 4 touchdown throws, including this long one to Adam Brenneman. And we saw, Mike, a guy from the first game that we saw against Syracuse to that last game in Hackenburg who just blew the doors off of expectations.
And here come the Nittany Lions in front of this crowd at Croke Park. But for them this year, Ed, it is another year of transition. Another new coaching staff, the third in 4 years, and another new system to learn. And
they've got James Franklin coming in, who is a Pennsylvania native,
right,
and he takes over for Bill O'Brien, who left to the NFL, in a spot that everyone thought would be disastrous, but it's not. O'Brien and his staff did a great job keeping this together. And Franklin, a guy who had unprecedented success at Vanderbilt, comes in.
Sure did.
High energy. He said that the team had a little bit of cohesiveness. They had to break through. They had to get through. All of that energy, all of that success at Vanderbilt, they break through. And it helps to have Christian Hackenburg back at quarterback when you take over a position.
Well, UCF was certainly last year's Cinderella. They broke through big time, beating Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl. And I know they start the season just outside the top 25, but that's a ranking you don't think's fair.
If you go back to last year and look at what UCF did, a huge win against Penn State. That was at home against Penn State. And then knocking off Louisville, who everyone had going to the title game in the BCS. They had 5 games where UCF had to come back in the fourth quarter, including this run against SMU that then put them into the Fiesta Bowl against Baylor. And everyone, including me, expected them to get blown out by Baylor, and UCF with Blake Bortles, of course, ends up with the win. And George O'Leary coming into his 11th year. You know, Mike, you just mentioned that top 25 and not being ranked coming into it. If UCF were in one of the so-called power conferences and people really would have taken a look at this program, I think this is a top 25 team, even without Blake Bortles at quarterback this year.
Well, you just have to look at all the guys that are back for this ball club. They are loaded. Of course, Blake Bortles, a tremendous loss for this club. And here comes UCF. They take the field, and we'll check in with Kenny Mayne. He's with Coach James Franklin.
Coach, we're on. James Franklin breaking in an unusual way. Are you nervous?
No, I feel great. Feel really good about our guys.
You're giving them sort of the bowl game they can't get right now.
Well, we're just focused on playing Central Florida. It's a game. It's an opportunity.
How about your quarterback? Christian looked pretty strong as a freshman. Are you going to control him at all in a different way just to get him out of the gate route?
No, he's a special guy. What we got to do is we got to support and surround him with our O-line and our wide receivers to make plays.
You can tell us secrets. UCF can't listen right now.
No, we're just going to play the game. Thanks, though.
Good luck today. Congratulations on the job and good continued success the rest of the way. Janine's with the other side.
Coach O'Leary, unprecedented success in 2013. A big part of that was Blake Bortles. A new era begins today with a freshman quarterback. How and why did Pete DeNovo earn the starting job?
Well, management skills, execute the best from sideline to the huddle. And, you know, and we're not just about one player. We're about a lot of players and stuff. But all 11 have to play well, offense and defense. And just a great setting, great opportunity to play in another country.
You talked about all the other players. What do you have to do to help your quarterback DeNovo have some quick early success in this game?
Try protecting him so he has time to throw. But other than that, then I think basically it's going to be a game, as usual, first games. It's a game of special teams, who can block and who can tackle the best, what happens in the first games, and eliminate turnovers.
In recent weeks, you've had to deal with reports of a volcano maybe erupting, thoughts maybe you were thinking of retirement, and now you're playing in a foreign country. How have you kept your players focused on the here and now?
I was never thinking of retiring. I don't know where that came from. When I'm going to retire, it won't be a secret.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Coach, thanks for your time. Guys.
Gee, thanks very much. And George lays it right on the line, doesn't he?
And there was a report out of a local station down in that was covering UCF that came out and said that he was going to retire potentially after this game. And we talked to him yesterday, and O'Leary said exactly what he said to Janine. He said, I'm still good. I'm still efficient at coaching. I'm not walking away, nor would I leave something that I started. So you can expect that O'Leary, at the very least, is going to coach through this season.
We're ready to go from Croke Park, Central Florida. We'll get the football. Michael Easton and Jordan Akins are deep for Sam Ficking's kick. Akins hesitates and then brings it out. Across the 15, belted as he got to the 16-yard line. And the Nittany Lions cover that kick very well. Jesse Della Valle gets the first stop. Central Florida will start on the ground. A handoff to Dontravius Wilson, the sophomore out of Buford, Georgia. Central Florida's quarterback is Pete DeNovo. He takes the field for the first time in his college career. He is a record breaker from high school, but he redshirted last year when Blake Bortles starred as the signal caller. Now he is the winner of the camp battle for quarterback. Wharton, Reese, and Perriman are in a 3 running back set, and they'll give it to Wilson, and Wilson has no chance. He is swallowed up by Anthony Zettel, number 98, who was a defensive end last year, and at 278 moves inside to defensive tackle. They think the front 4 of this ball club is going to be pretty darn good.
And that's saying a lot after they lost Daquan Jones off of last year's team. But Zettel, a guy who's been able to move inside, and of course with Deion Barnes at end, C.J. Olanyan on the outside, who was a little dinged up. He was wearing a baby blue jersey. Olanyan was the other day at practice, but they do expect this front 4 to be very active.
DeNovo, they wanted to give him something easy for his first throw on 3rd and long. It's not going to be easy. Throws a deep sideline, tipped away and caught out of bounds by Perriman. But it will be incomplete, and 3 and out for Central Florida. Deion Barnes was putting on the pressure from his right defensive end spot.
Bob Shoop, the new defensive coordinator, called a little pressure. That was a 5-man rush. Barnes came inside, and great coverage by Jordan Lucas, a guy who, very hard-working guy. He's worked very hard on his craft. The previous staff was really excited about him last year, how much work he had put in, and that is just terrific coverage when there's a little pressure up front from the defense.
Caleb Houston will punt, and Jordan Lucas, who's a very good kick returner, is back. Penn State struggled in this area last year. 8th in the Big Ten in punt returns, dead last in kick returns, and not a good one there as he lost his footing. A 52-yard punt from Caleb Houston. Penn State's offense runs through Christian Hackenburg. Last season, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. He threw for almost 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions on the season. But he lost his security blanket, the great wide receiver Allen Robinson, who's going to step up for Penn State.
And an offensive line with only 1 returning starter.
Hackenburg throws near side, short completion. They won't get much out of that to Hamilton. He's dragged down by Ozerites on that corner.
We'll take a look at our impact players. You mentioned Zwenek, who last year at the end of the year went over 100 yards against Wisconsin, had a big run in the 4th quarter. Bill Belton, the speedier of the 2 backs, and Terrence Plummer, one of the best defenders in the American Conference, was the Fiesta Bowl defensive MVP, and Clayton Gathers, a safety, a 4-year starter. This secondary for UCF, arguably one of the top in the country, easily the best in the American Athletic Conference.
Chris Godwin, number 12, was checked in as a 3rd wide receiver. Instead, they give it to Belton, and Belton is hammered at the line of scrimmage. Terrence Plummer, the tackling machine from his middle linebacker spot, had 110 stops last year. He is on every all-star list there is. The Walter Camp list is the top player in the country. The Butkus list, the Bednarik list. When you're on Butkus and Bednarik, if you're on there with Dick and Concrete Charlie, you're doing something right.
And that's why I was confused how UCF didn't get into that top 25. This is a defense that was really good and dominant at times last year and returned almost everyone.
Hackenburg goes to the shotgun on 3rd and long. Fakes the draw under pressure. And Hackenburg throws to the sideline, complete to Hamilton. That's what's gaining 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason is going to help you do. Get away from that rush. Mamea had a clean shot at him and missed it.
And right away you see one of the big concerns was the offensive front, and that's just too early pressure. And Hamilton, a redshirt freshman who couldn't play last year because of a wrist injury, one of the young receivers that James Franklin and his new offensive coordinator, John Donovan, expect big things out of Hamilton. But this is not a pure freshman. This is a guy who was on campus last year, so has some experience.
Chester and Wilkerson in a 2 tight end formation. Penn State will do this a lot. They have some great tight ends. Hackenburg throws underneath, complete. Picks up about 9.
That's about as big a tight end as you're going to see. Jesse James, 6'7", 270 pounds. Unfortunately for Penn State, they're losing. They miss Adam Brenneman, who hurt his left knee during camp. He's out, but you mentioned the depth. They go 4 deep at tight end. And this is something that Bill O'Brien and his previous staff really built on, and something that James Franklin realizes they'll need, especially with the struggles up front, the offensive line.
And Jesse James with 25 catches last year, the leading returning receiver. Pressure again on Hackenburg. Wilkerson going for the pass. It's incomplete. Troy Gray was coming, and Tyson Summers likes that pressure defense. Hurry up to the line of scrimmage, and Hackenburg tossed back the belt. Look at the coverage by this UCF defense. They are just swarming that Penn State offensive line. Clayton Gathers and Troy Gray got there. Penn State with no room to operate.
Well, Penn State tried to pull the left tackle, Donovan Smith, but as aggressive as this defense is, as the defense, Clayton Gathers, they're playing up around the line of scrimmage. He knifes in. You're trying to pull Donovan Smith, a 335-pound left tackle. That takes too long to develop. The safety runs through and makes a big lost yardage tackle. Right now, a lot of gold shirts running through that offensive front for Penn State.
Chris Gula, number 37, won the punting job. He's a redshirt freshman. He'll kick to J.J. Wharton, who averaged better than 12 yards in return last year. High, short kick. Flag is down as he makes the fair catch at the 31-yard line. We'll check to see what this is. Here.
We have multiple fouls against the defense. Personal foul, roughing the kicker.
And now they're going to call it a personal foul, roughing the kicker, and that will be a first down. To the delight of James Franklin, and George O'Leary is really upset.
Well,
that's right in between, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And the idea is this is a safety rule, and so they will tell the officials, young man is doing, Willie Mitchell's doing everything he can to pull up. I think you got to call running into the kicker there. I don't know that that was hard enough for a personal foul. Again, it's a safety issue, so the officials are told, call it more aggressively, but that's 2 penalties in a row, 15-yarders that we have seen that seem a little on the line and probably should have stayed in the pocket or been less.
It's the only reason Penn State's offense still on the field. Hackenburg slips. We've seen a lot of guys lose their balance, and Hackenburg with a long bomb down to the 3-yard line to Deshaun Hamilton. A perfect post pattern, and Hackenburg laid it in there to beat Jacoby Glenn for 44 yards. Great throw.
Safety's late getting there. You've got a middle safety like Central Florida does, and Brandon Alexander, 37, you can see trailing the play.
Never found the ball.
He got brought up. If he starts to go back and finds that ball, I'm not sure if that's an interception. But Hackenburg, a guy who's getting so comfortable, if you see that safety looking back at you and you let it go, there's no way he's going to get to it. That was a nice throw by Hackenburg. Good read on a safety who was late on his turn.
First and goal for the Nittany Lions, and the power back Zwinnick is in the ballgame. He gets the carry and stopped short. Zwinnick, 6'1", 233. Last year rushed for almost 1,000 yards, 989. And bobbled the ball a little bit as he got to the goal line. Oh, he never got the handoff.
And Zwinnick's a guy who had a horrible wrist injury 2 springs ago. They weren't even sure he was going to be able to play last year. Still has to wear a brace, but this is a place I'd look for a run action pass if I were Penn State.
They are stacked to the left again. It's Zwinnick. And Zwinnick got to the goal line. Did he get in? Yes. And Central Florida's upset about this call. Three tough runs to get it in from 2 yards out.
Remember, the ball just has to cross the plane.
There it is.
Good call. Not sure
Zwinnick fortunate that he could swing his arm forward in all that traffic. And now Sam Ficken comes on for the point after. Ficken has been a lightning rod for both the good and the bad for place kickers during his career. But Hackenburg keys this drive. 4 out of 5 for 76 yards. And Penn State gets a touchdown in 5:07 of the first quarter, thanks to the penalty that kept the drive alive. And there is the strike to Deshaun Hamilton. And Zwinnick, 3 tries, 3rd time's the charm. Welcome back to Ireland, the Croke Park Classic. Penn State has jumped on top 7-0 here in Dublin, Ireland, getting ready to kick to the Knights of UCF. Nice crowd on hand, too, and a beautiful day. It's 61 degrees. You don't get that a lot in Ireland. You know, sometimes you get 53, 30-mile-an-hour winds and rain. The next day, it's really nice, and today we got lucky. It's nice.
And we were talking to the UCF folks. George O'Leary said, our players love this weather. It's been 105 degrees with the heat index down in Florida during camp. So this more like a November game for UCF. I remember as a player the first games of this, and you'll see it today throughout college football, guys cramping, not quite ready for the heat. I'm not sure that's going to be an issue here.
And we're having mechanical problems with the headsets on the sideline. Aiken with a running start from the 10. The big man rumbles across the 30. Aiken in a foot race. And just tripped up as he got to the 25-yard line. Trevor Williams saved the touchdown. 67 yards for Jordan Akins, the 4-year minor league baseball player who agreed to come and play football for them 4 years ago before being an outfielder in the Rangers organization. Now he's back and playing football. They're going to love what he does.
And the Penn State fans used to seeing that the last couple of years. The Nittany Lions down in numbers because of scholarship sanctions have been poor on special teams. That time everybody was magnetized to their blockers.
DeNovo gives to Wilson, and he has certainly had running room in this first half. Hull and Wortman, the linebackers, with the stop. Hull, an all-star candidate, number 43, moved from the outside to the inside to be the anchor of that defense this year.
And Hull was a guy that James Franklin mentioned when his coaching staff first got here. The players took a wait-and-see approach. They had just gone through another transition with Bill O'Brien, and Hull was a guy who bought in really early, especially when they moved him to middle backer.
And you are watching the Croke Park Classic, UCF against Penn State from Dublin, Ireland, where it's 7-0 Nittany Lions. Beautifully designed bridge, isn't it?
The architecture along the River Liffey is as cool as I've seen in any major city in the world. It really is beautiful.
UCF sets up shop. DeNovo had a chance to keep it, instead throws behind his intended receiver, J.J. Wharton, and he has a veteran group of wide receivers who can go get it.
And that was the second poor throw by DeNovo. On that 4th down, I should have made mention, you don't want to throw that ball out of bounds on 4th and goal from the 1. You at least want to put that in the end zone, see if somebody could get a PI or catch it. And that time he threw it well behind J.J. Wharton, who was wide open for the 1st down.
He has a good arm, but not a great arm. They describe him more as a game manager, somebody who can lead this team. But the job is certainly not his permanently if he doesn't come through. And so far he hasn't. DeNovo with good protection this time. Throws underneath. Nice catch and run by Wharton. Gives him enough for a 1st down. And that was yards after catch that did the job.
And this is a guy, Wharton, with great hands. He had that unbelievable one-handed catch against Temple last year to win the game. This time reaches out. Really nice coverage that time by Lucas. He also had the linebacker cutting underneath of that, Mike Hull. But good finish of the run for the 1st down. I'm not sure he caught that in front of the 1st down marker.
Well, Wharton has certainly proved if he can touch it, he can catch it. Wilson picks his way down to the 20-yard line. Check in with Janine Edwards.
get going, the Knights, but one weapon that Pete DeNovo does not have at his disposal today is their leading receiver from last year, and that is Rennell Hall. You probably haven't seen number 6 out there. He's been battling a left elbow injury for the last couple of weeks, and Coach O'Leary told us he is emergency only today.
They'd really like to keep him out so he doesn't get that elbow banged again. And then they've got an off week next week, so he'd have 2 more weeks to heal. There's a draw play that doesn't go anywhere in the middle of that Penn State defense, led by Brandon Bell and Austin Anderson, stood him up.
And with Hall out now, DeNovo without 2 of the top receivers from last year. Of course, Jeff Godfrey moved on, and Hall, a guy that last year had 57 receptions, so missing that much experience is difficult for a first-time starter. And now O'Leary looking at the clock here, probably as a defensive coach, hoping it continues to tick. This is feeling like it could be a defensive game.
3rd and 8 for DeNovo. Penn State brings 4. DeNovo under pressure, steps up, dives forward. He's going to be 5 yards shy of a first down at the 19-yard line. From here, it would be about a 36-yard field goal, and that's the unit George O'Leary is going to send on.
Good rush by Brad Bars, a guy who missed last year for Penn State with an injury, and now UCF. Again, you look at their roster, unbelievable that they didn't get in the top 25. They returned all of their kickers, including this guy, who all he was last year was 21 of 23.
He's on the Groza watch list this year. This is his first attempt this season. It will be from 36 yards out. And he is true, and UCF gets on the board. You're watching us from Dublin, Ireland, and there is ancient Trinity College in downtown London. Back in Dublin, Ireland, with Penn State leading UCF, excuse me, 7-3. Penn State will get the ball, and that means that Sean Galvin will kick off for UCF. He grew up playing all sports in Cork, Ireland, about a 4-hour drive southwest of Dublin, and always dreamed of playing in this stadium. Little would he know that he would get to Dublin through Orlando, Florida, and a scholarship at Central Florida.
There he is as a youngster. He was awfully upset when his family moved to Florida. He feels like kicker is a little boring because of the sports he played when he was a youngster here. There was a lot more going on than just kicking the ball.
And he's more than willing to mix it up on special teams after he kicks it. Lynch 22, Walker 25 are deep. Lynch, backup running back, takes it out near the 23-yard line, taken down. So far in this ballgame, Penn State really has made one play, the long throw by Hackenburg, that set them up for a touchdown. Here comes a blitz. Good protection by Hackenburg, throws to James, and the tight end picks up about 8.5 yards. When you've got 2 tight ends who can get open and catch the ball, that's a great comfort zone.
Well, and a guy like James, 6'7", you throw it a bit off target. He's got good range, but that was good blocking on a blitz up front by Penn State.
James makes his 3rd catch, and that pass incomplete. 3rd down and short again. Belton, same play off the left side, same result. 1st down, Penn State.
No surprise that Penn State running the left side. That's where Donovan Smith is. He's the only returning starter up front at left tackle for James Franklin. And this is an offensive line that was just gutted by injuries and graduation. Of course, I mentioned Miles Diefenbach, the starting guard, out from a knee injury in the spring. But I went back to that last game against Wisconsin, and of the 10 players in the 2 deep for the offensive line for Penn State, only 2 out of 10 returned from last year's offensive line in that last ball game. So a very thin position.
Hamilton has 5 catches, James 4 so far. Hackenburg, great protection. Now he's got another receiver involved, Kyle Carter, another veteran tight end who caught 18 balls a year ago. And the hurry-up offense for Hackenburg. Hackenburg rolling to his right and throws complete again to Hamilton, and Deshaun Hamilton
I really like what John Donovan and the offensive staff have done for Penn State. They couldn't run at a drop. They were getting beat up front. So now they're giving the ball to Hackenburg, and he's starting to get into a rhythm, it looks like.
Belton off the left side, slips a tackle, but not the second one. Stopped just inside the 2-yard line. It will be 2nd and goal.
Now this is, we saw UCF do this where they got inside the 5. We saw Penn State just trying to run. This would be a down. As good as Penn State is with their tight ends, especially with some of the height they have at that position, I would think this would be a position. Hackenburg is the reason you're down here. He's really gotten into a nice rhythm throwing. This might be the chance here.
Switch up the formation, and Hackenburg wants to throw for it. Sidearm out of bounds. Excellent coverage back there by Jacoby Glenn. He gave Hackenburg no place to throw it as he was looking for one of his tight ends.
That's another
Carter.
Yeah, it's another drop. We saw that ball get right into his hands, and Hackenburg had to really drill it. You could see him get a little more sting on the ball as he let it go, but that's a second drop for Penn State. But I think you do the same thing here. I think you give Hackenburg a chance. He really feels like he's in the flow of the game. He was not rushed there, even though the protection had broken down, kept his eyes calmly downfield. But now they're going to direct snap. A little surprised at this one.
Zwinnick, following his lead blocker, never had a chance. Now you're asking a guy who's 233 pounds to be the recipient of the direct snap.
And this is the same thing that I've been mentioning. When you take this long at the goal line, look how long Zwinnick has to wait for his blocks. And then Daryl Mamea just destroyed up the middle, goes through the middle. And I don't know why you don't have Hackenburg with the ball in his hands on that 3rd down. I didn't like that call at all.
He lost 3 yards on the carry. And now Ficken will come on to try a short field goal, 22 yards. And drills it through, and Penn State regains its 7-point lead, but that seemed like a wasted opportunity.
Penn State should have 14 on the board. If I were a Penn State fan, I would not be happy with that series of downs. As well as Hackenburg was playing, to not have him in on 3rd down, I think that was a mistake.
Just a lovely day in Ireland. In the low 60s, sunshine. A lot of fans from both UCF and from Penn State.
Saw James Franklin in his Vanderbilt gear in that shot sequence. Of course, he was hired after Bill O'Brien decided after 2 years to go back to the NFL and coach the Texans. And I think Penn State got what James Franklin and this staff, mostly this staff, did at Vanderbilt in the SEC.
Remarkable.
Just unbelievable. 124-year history of that program. And Franklin, 124-year history. First time ever, top 25 consecutive years. The last 2 years put them in the top 25 in that league. And then to get, and he's from Pennsylvania, I thought that was just a terrific hire. Everyone was disappointed when Bill O'Brien left. I think they landed a guy that's going to be here for a long time.
Easton and Akins are deep. Akins, last time he touched the ball, went 67 yards. Not this time, tripped up just short of the 20. Let's see what they can do with 14 seconds and de novo. And they're going to change quarterbacks, and it's not going to make any difference. They put in Justin Holman, who was the backup to Bortles a year ago, played sparingly. He's out of Snellville, Georgia. Tough situation to put the young man in for his first play before halftime.
I think both coaching staffs showing some first game rust. I'm not sure why I know that DeNovo has not played great, but nobody else on offense has played lights out either. And to go with a guy who's not thrown a pass to come in at the end, if you're just going to heave it up in the air, I get it, but you give up a sack and then let the clock run out after getting a little bit of a gift from Penn State.
Check in with Janine. She's with Coach Franklin.
Coach, a little bit of a gamble on that last play there. What was the thinking there?
We want to be aggressive with everything we do. We tell our players we're going to do that before the game, so I want to make sure we come out and call the game that way.
You were anxious to see this first game with your new team. Give us the good, the bad, and the ugly this first half so far.
Well, the bad is we didn't have headsets the whole first quarter. That was an adjustment, but we got to clean up the penalties. Besides that, I thought we did some nice things.
Okay, Coach, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Janine. At the half, our score, Penn State 10, UCF 3. We'll be back with the Dave and Buster's halftime report right after these messages. That is Trinity College, one of the oldest learning institutions in the Western Hemisphere. Penn State with a lead, 10-3. Sean Galvin will kick it away. Grant Haley and Vaughn Walker are deep as we're ready to start the second half. Haley 3 yards deep. 15, 20, 30. Haley blocking down the sideline. One man to beat and taken down as he crossed midfield. There is a flag down.
During the return, holding, receiving team, number 3, 10-yard penalty, first down.
The hold by Daquan Davis.
Right at the end of the run, you'll see number 3 in white, Davis, working right there on the block. I just don't see the holding. Right side of your screen. Oh, there's the jersey. Yeah, yep. There's the jersey. The pull there. And what's a shame is Davis had control of the UCF player with his left hand. If that right hand just came off and didn't pull that jersey, that was a clean block. But when the official sees that jersey pulled in the right hand, you got to make that call.
Zwinnick will start as the tailback here in the second half, and he gets the ball on the carry. Zach Zwinnick pounding straight forward. Gets out to the 42. Look at the numbers from the first half. 218 passing yards to just 18. Total dominance in that regard, yet UCF appeared to be the more physical team up front on both sides of the ball, but they couldn't get the passing game going at all, and Hackenburg could.
That's been the difference. Early on, it was clear Penn State wanted to continue to try the power run, was not working against this very solid front for UCF, and Hackenburg is looking like the best player on the field, head and shoulders, frankly.
Hackenburg in the gun. Looks left, right, then back down to the right, left side, and it's a jump ball caught by Hamilton. That's the ball skills you're looking for in a wide receiver. He outjumped the veteran corner Ozerites, who looked like he may have lost track of the ball just momentarily, and that was enough.
And then Hamilton gets tackled. I couldn't tell if Ozerites got his hand up there, but that looked like it should have been a touchdown.
Hackenburg again, this time behind Hamilton.
Hamilton looked like he got tackled by the grass there after he made the catch, but Ozerites had great position on that. He spun the wrong way. Ozerites was in, I thought this was a potential interception, but Hamilton did a nice job, and just his feet got crossed up. Otherwise, he cruises into the end zone. That could be, let's mark that. If they don't score here or just get a field goal, that's a big play that he wasn't able to finish and keep his feet.
Hey, the old turf monster's gotten a lot of people. 2nd and 10. And they just keep calling pass plays. Here comes the blitz, and they shovel it out to Jesse James. He makes the catch, tackled immediately. When you run those blitzes, those zone blitzes, you've always got people underneath to make the tackles on the short passes.
And this is very dangerous. This is about the 4th time we've seen Hackenburg do this. And Jesse James, who's already wearing a sleeve on his right arm, which a lot of times means he might have a bad shoulder, landed on that arm, and as he went off, he was favoring that right side. This is a guy with all of the people that left on offense, especially Allen Robinson at wide receiver. James has been a go-to guy. Looks like he's in a lot of pain.
3rd and long. UCF trying to hold and stay down by only a touchdown. Show blitz again, and they come. Hackenburg has to unload early. That's going to be well short to Kyle Carter. And now do you go for the field goal? And it looks like they will.
As poorly as UCF has been playing on offense, I think you kick the 3 to get up by 10 again. I think you're feeling pretty confident that UCF's not going to go on a scoring bench here in the second half.
They expected the tight ends to be the strength of this passing game, and so far they certainly have. The tight ends have combined for 10 catches. This will be a 33-yard try for Sam Ficken, who was already hit from 22. And Ficken 2 for 2 to start the season. And the lead has grown to 10. Penn State giving itself a little bit of a cushion. Big pass, set it up.
But if Hamilton doesn't have the turf monster make the tackle, they have 7 instead of 3 by Ficken.
The Brazen Head, the oldest pub in Dublin. Of course, it has some competition, doesn't it?
Oh, international, that's for sure.
Akins, who's had one good return, they could sure use another one. Found a hole and cut it up over the 30. He is just relearning how to play football and trying to get some experience. This is an outstanding athlete. And now George O'Leary is going to test his hand with a new quarterback, Justin Holman, who came in at the end of the first half and was trying to throw a Hail Mary. He threw 14 passes last year as a backup for Bortles. He can run, he can throw.
And he, coming out of spring ball, or George O'Leary thought Holman was going to be the starter, but DeNovo came in and beat him out during camp. But this was expected. If DeNovo wasn't able to move the team efficiently, we thought that Holman would come in. So not surprised at this stage that UCF is making the change.
Now you see the difference in skill level as Justin Holman rifles that one to J.J. Wharton. I mean, this kid has a big arm as opposed to Pete DeNovo, who is more of a manager as a quarterback and not a passer.
Definitely see more zip on that ball than you saw with DeNovo. And now UCF starting to mix it up a bit. They were starting to rely really heavily on the run. Last 11 plays, they'd run it 9 times. So now maybe get Holman into a rhythm as a thrower.
And even though they're missing Rennell Hall, they've got 3 other guys who can go get it, and he goes for the bomb and caught at the 1. What a throw. He got it down to Perriman, and Perriman grabbed it at the 1-yard line for 50 yards. And if you've got the arm and you can get it there, these guys can pluck it.
And Daquan Davis immediately putting his hands on. There was no reason. Davis should have started cutting underneath of that. Never found the ball. That was a mistake by Davis. If he would have seen it, I think he may have been able to knock it down. But big play by Perriman, who had some big plays last year in those huge wins down the stretch.
Last time they were down here, they tried to run and couldn't do it. Same thing here. Wilson drilled as he got to the line of scrimmage. Zettel just drove him back.
Well, Holman's a good runner, too. That's the one thing they said, that Holman gives them a bit more. If Zettel doesn't make the tackle, the other 3 white shirts standing right next to him do. Good
now, the last time down here, they waited until 4th down to run a play-action pass. You've got to think they're going to throw it early.
Well, they're coming out in a shotgun spread, so this is what you would expect, or maybe even a quarterback draw.
Holman, they'll run it out of this, and Wilson to the goal line. The official says he was short. It looked like he fell into the end zone after the tackle by Kaiser. They're going to mark it inches short. And it's a good call.
Nice job by Kaiser getting low, coming up from the safety spot. But now
do you run from 6 inches or throw?
Holman, the problem with him has been accuracy, and I would be afraid of an interception here. So inside the 1, I think you're 6 inches. I think you probably run it here if you're UCF, but I think you got to think of going for it on 4th down as well.
You're going to spread it out. Quarterback keeper, which is a great call normally down here, and it is a touchdown, although Penn State says the ball came loose.
Just don't think I like the conservative call there with a new quarterback. Had some accuracy issues in camp, which is why you went with DeNovo's a starter. Breaks the plane. Doesn't matter if the ball comes out. It's dead right when he breaks it.
Why let these guys on defense get ahead of steam? Take the snap, go forward.
Well, and we've seen Penn State when they, Zwinak took that snap. It took him 3 seconds to take his first step.
70 yards in 7 plays, and Holman was 3 out of 3, including the big one, 50 yards, and the rushing touchdown for the score, and we are back to within 3 points. Welcome back to the Croke Park Classic. We're dancing in Dublin.
See the eye black there under those guys? The local paper was making fun of our sport and said that if any of their blokes wore eye black while they were playing a sport, they would roll on the ground laughing at them.
Well, one reason is it's only sunny once every 2 weeks over here, so
it's not quite Florida.
Vaughn Walker and Haley are deep for Sean Galvin, the native Irishman, to kick it off. Haley on the return. Big gap across the 20 to about the 28-yard line. And Penn State will start from there with 2:33 to go third quarter. And Janine Edwards has a report from the sideline. Janine.
Well, guys, you heard how upset James Franklin was at halftime when he told me that they had no communication over their headsets for a big part of the first quarter of this game. Well, offensive coordinator John Donovan was going to call this game from the press box, but he's been down on the field now because he says the phones are not working either. So he would have no way to call down to speak to quarterback Christian Hackenburg. And right now they've still had more issues with the headsets not working, and James Franklin finally took his off.
Thank you, Janine. Mamea makes the tackle from behind, gets Hackenburg for a loss of 9. One of the few times they've been able to really get him down.
Good line movement by UCF, not staying still. You could see the bodies exchanging in the middle of that defensive line. And Mamaya, who Tyson Summers said made huge improvement from last year. And this front for UCF has really been good in the pass rush today. Hackenburg hasn't had much time. When he has, he's been great, but they've been closing the pocket quite a bit.
2nd and 19, and this defense may have been energized by the change in quarterback and the success of their offense.
The offense had about 30 yards of offense up until that point when they made the change. And so when your defense comes back out on the field and they've cut it to 3, you better believe they believe a little more we can win. When your offense is as bad as UCF was for the first half, well, that's an injury to Chris Godwin. They're already down. Excuse me.
That was Jacoby Glenn.
Jacoby Glenn, pardon me.
An outstanding corner who's on the Thorpe watch list as the best defensive back in the country. Looked like he either has a cramp or he pulled his hamstring. 61 degrees, hard to imagine cramps. Hackenburg, plenty of time. Has a man wide open, throws to Lewis. He was 15 yards behind everybody, and Gino Lewis goes for it, 79 yards on a break in coverage. Did somebody buy the pump fake?
Boy, they sure did. And just, you think of how many reps you go all the way through last year, all the way through spring camp. Gino Lewis up top. That was a pump and go. What a great move. And it was the safety in the middle of the field. The corner bit on it, but that safety number 26 gathers, the guy with 4 years of starting experience. He can't bite on that. The safety just can't bite on that pump.
So Penn State gets its margin back.
This is a little thing, but did you notice how Hackenburg took a little off of that ball when he saw that Gino Lewis was that open? Because the only ball that will not be complete is the overthrow.
That's right. He was going to make sure he got a completion even if his receiver had to wait for it.
Got caught from behind. Great throw.
Great throw by Hackenburg, and he was way out there. Hackenburg having that right leg worked on. He's been banged around a little bit today, but he hung in the pocket that time and threw a perfect strike.
That's a stretch where you're working on the hip flexor or the quad. You're trying to get some stretch across that quad and into the hip flexor. So
Ed, he has already thrown for a career high 355 yards today in his first game as a sophomore, 24 out of 35. And he has clearly been the difference in this ballgame.
And all of the long throws today have been the difference. I really like how John Donovan and this staff turned it around and started going into Hackenburg's hands, letting him throw it.
It can be frustrating to watch a team that doesn't make the adjustments you feel they should make. They made them almost instant.
And then they came out in the second half and they went back to the run and they, well, you know what? Let's just go ahead with 14 again.
Akins. Not this time, taken down at the 22-yard line. So Holman is going to have to do his act again and try to cut into this lead. Play fake. Olanian couldn't bring him down. Throws on the run and throws a bullet complete to the 45, now up to the 50. J.J. Wharton. When you got a quarterback with arm strength, the guy's got some mobility, can throw on a run and drill it like he can.
And here was beautiful. He was looking for Wharton the whole time. He's looking towards Wharton there. Because he has to run away from the coverage, Wharton stays alive. And the arm strength difference between DeNovo and Holman. Holman is, they knew coming in he had the stronger arm. He was dealing with some accuracy issues. He seems to be getting into a flow, but give Wharton credit. Wharton's been really the only guy for UCF here in the second half who seems to be making any plays.
Oh, late hit on Austin Johnson, took 2 steps and drilled him. That's a huge penalty. It takes him down to the 14-yard line. And I don't think it was the severity of the hit. It was the fact that he took 2 full steps and then unloaded. So UCF setting up shop at the 13-yard line. And this is Wilson trying to grind out yardage. It's interesting, we have not seen William Stanback all day long.
At all.
You have to think there might be a minor injury or something like that to keep him out of the ball game.
Stanback was the second leading rusher behind Storm Johnson last year. We knew that we were going to see a lot of Dontrevious Wilson after talking to coaches yesterday. But a little surprising Stanback has not played.
End of the third quarter. Penn State by 10, but Central Florida is driving. Been a great day for Hackenburg. This was his biggest play. Holman. Running play will pick up about 4 with Dontrevious Wilson.
You know, I think this is an important third down for UCF. We're into the fourth quarter. You're down 10. I don't think 3 is going to get it done here. For the way Hackenburg is playing for the other side, I don't think you want a field goal here. This is a chance for you to, I think, take one and throw it into the end zone. You can pick up the first down, but I just don't think if you're UCF, you can get out of here with 3 and think you got a chance to win this game.
Well, this kid can certainly make it whistle. He's already hit on a couple of really tight throws. Throws this slant. That's going to be a first down to the 2.
What a nice throw by Holloman. That slant in this tight of an area, when you're this close to the goal line, all of the bodies that are there, Holman, he caught that ball, and you said it right. He does really whistle out of his hand. And Perryman, whose father played 10 years, Brett Perryman played 10 years in the NFL, now starting to get into the flow a little bit. You can start to see these receivers have a little bounce in their step. And what a turnaround for UCF as Holman has come in. And 100 more yards already of offense.
They really didn't produce much under DeNovo. Trying to get the ball into the end zone. They're inside the 1 with Wilson. When you can see how it opens up the play calling, too. When you've got Holman in there with his skill set. I mean, no knock on DeNovo. He's very good at what he does, and he's a redshirt freshman playing his first game. But Holman has the edge on him in experience and certainly an arm strength. 2nd and goal. Quarterback keeper, no signal.
Good movement, though. They were just outside a yard. Now they've got it into the, it's like probably 6 or 7 inches from the goal line. So I
wouldn't be surprised. Same play, right?
Absolutely.
If you've got a guy who can throw like this kid can, you might as well be back at the 10 instead of the 5. You got more room to operate.
That's a good point.
Holman in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers, 3 to the left. He looks left. Guns it, touchdown. A perfect throw to Josh Reese. Well, the quarterback fight for the starting job was unsettled coming out of camp. May not be unsettled anymore.
A completely different offense that we've seen.
Absolutely.
With Holman in there. Daquan Davis again on the coverage. We saw him give up the long throw earlier, and this time sitting on that shoulder, not coming through the receiver right at the goal line. Looked a little hesitant to me.
Point after cuts it to 3. And UCF back within 3 points with 11:31 to go. 139 yards passing for that young man coming off the bench. Pretty good opening ball game. You got to come 4,000 miles from the East Coast to see it. Is worth it. Galvin to kick. Walker and Haley are deep for the Nittany Lions. Haley had some good returns on this side, and he's tripped up as he got to the 30.
You know, Mike, you made mention that it may be better to be back 10 yards, but if you're a defensive back, watch Daquan Davis as he starts the backpedal. He's on his heels. He never gets a good break. You see the little stutter step right there? You've got to be way more aggressive. When they go back, when Penn State goes back and look at this film, they're going to say to Davis, when you get to about the 1, you got to plant and start driving. Because if you don't, Holman did a great job getting rid of the ball on time, good, accurate throw, but that's just way too off a coverage, even at the 10-yard line. For a young guy like Davis, he's got to learn that at some point you've got to put that foot in the ground and start breaking to it. Instead, he shuffled, and it was too late.
Now, Penn State would love to work on the clock here. So Zwinick is back in, and he bowls straight ahead for a couple.
So while Penn State is still ineligible for postseason play and can't win the conference, the new realignment, remember they were the legends and leaders last year, and of course Rutgers and Maryland joined, but I would argue that they really messed this up. I find it hard to believe that Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Michigan State are all in the same division. I still don't see how Michigan, Michigan State weren't put in the West, and Purdue and then Illinois potentially brought to the East. They wanted to protect the Michigan-Ohio State matchup, but boy, that seems like not a very equitable division of the conference.
Hackenburg, flanker screen again to Hamilton. That's covered very well. It's almost like if you're Maryland or Rutgers, it's welcome to the Big Ten. You're going to make a lot of money, and look who you get to play every year.
Well, but at least Maryland then has basketball season to look forward to. Yeah, I was shocked when the Big Ten went from what was a little bit of a PR nightmare with the legends and leaders no one knew, and then, of course, they added the teams to go to 7-a-side. I was really shocked when I saw that those 4 schools ended up in the same division.
Huge play here, 3rd and 9. Can Penn State keep the ball and keep working on that clock, or does UCF get it back? Almost drew them off sides. Hackenburg, blitz coming. Hackenburg unloads. He's got his man again, tipped and caught. The second try. Lewis got it. What a catch by Geno Lewis.
And it was the safety Geathers who got beat on the last pump and go, and this time Geathers was in position. But Lewis gets a good bump, and again Hackenburg very smartly underthrowing this ball.
Boy, great concentration.
Really was. college football, you don't have to turn and see the ball, so that's not pass interference as long as he can get there early. But another excellent job by Hackenburg. You've got a guy wide open. The only thing that's incomplete is an overthrow.
Hackenburg has just gone over the 400-yard mark. Another career high for him. Belton. And right now they are in field goal range, which would give them a 2-score advantage. And that's got to be what you're thinking as a coach, Jess. Or excuse me, they're only up by 3, so obviously a touchdown would give them a 2-score advantage.
But Hackenburg, a guy who clearly works on his craft time and time again. We saw Holman, a guy with not a ton of experience and a good arm, not have a touch throw on the last 3rd down. And that is the 2nd time we've seen Hackenburg when Geno Lewis breaks free. It's a guaranteed incomplete if you overthrow them. So both of those throws nice and underthrown slightly.
2nd and 5. Clock continues to run. Belton on the delay. He's got room, but tripped up, and that is a saving tackle by Earl Clark, who just got him by the ankle and kept him just shy of the 1st down.
You couldn't draw it up better if you were Penn State right now.
No.
You really couldn't. You're eating the clock. There's a chance that you could go up 2 scores. And to be honest, if I'm James Franklin, you're only up 3. Even if you don't get it here, I think you've got to consider going for it on 4th, because you only go up 6. Touchdown and an extra point, you lose the ball game. I think you have to at least consider it here if you don't pick up the 1st.
3rd and a yard and a half. Direct snap. Swinnick got the 1st down to the 10. That play developed a little faster than the other times they tried this formation.
Here's the big difference, though. The defensive line in the 4th quarter isn't getting off the blocks the same way it was in the 1st half. And so a play that looked disastrous on the goal line earlier in the game for Penn State, when Zwinnick took that snap and looked like it took about 5 seconds before he took off. Now you can see the hands on the hips. These are big guys. They haven't had much rotation either. There are only 3 defensive tackles they rotate at UCF. And you could, if you're UCF, I think you got to think about a timeout at some point here to get your defense a rest.
Swinnick, another direct snap. Tripped up, picks up a couple. And while all those timeouts are sitting on the sideline, the clock is running.
You're not there where I think you would use it to save clock for your offense, but you're getting awfully close. Now there they go. Good call.
And if you want to see people wearing kilts, you're in the right place.
Smart outfitting by those UCF fans.
Have you bought a kilt yet?
No.
No? From the snicker, it sounds like you're not going to.
Probably not. I'll go with slides.
2nd and goal. Hackenburg back in. Gives to Belton. Belton swallowed up at about the 7-yard line. Will they use their 2nd timeout? And they will. I think it's a great move by the UCF coaching staff. No matter what happens here, you are going to save enough time to operate.
And you are so stuck in a weird place if you're James Franklin right now. Remember going in at half, he said, we want to be aggressive. We tell them to be aggressive. I love the call there to run, because if they're going to use their timeouts, let's get their timeouts gone. But if I'm Penn State, 3 points is going to be very difficult for me to take. I understand you would take it, but that means UCF could go down and win it if they score the PAT.
Big play coming here, 3rd and goal. This is the down of decision. You make it or you go for the field goal, I think.
Oh, I think they probably will, yeah.
Hackenburg looks to throw. Plenty of time. Now being pressured. Throws to the end zone, tipped, incomplete, looking for Kyle Carter. It's either his tight ends or Deshaun Hamilton.
And now, oh, and there's Hackenburg.
He's
came up a little
again.
gimpy, yeah. Look at the end of the play. Well, you can see his left leg,
twisted,
yeah.
didn't he?
Mamea, as he went down, there's a new rule where if a player's in a passing posture, you can't aggressively go in and tackle them unabated. That was not the case there by Mamea, but you can see Hackenburg a little gimpy coming up.
Thicken for the field goal, and he's got it. And Penn State takes the lead 23-17. Only 3.5 minutes to go from Dublin. Hackenburg on the sideline. He limped off after that last series, being tackled trying to throw the ball to the end zone. But Penn State now up by 6.
And great clock work by UCF. They saved a ton of time for their offense. They still have 1 timeout because on 3rd down, Penn State, of course, electing to throw to try to score. So the clock didn't run. So UCF plenty of time and a timeout. But remember, young quarterback still.
And with 3:30, you can basically do anything you want on offense. Aikens, big kick that time.
Well, last year for UCF was magical in many ways. 5 times they had to come back in the 4th quarter, and they had 8 games decided by 7 or less, with the only loss coming to a very good South Carolina team. Of course, went out to Arizona to play in the Fiesta Bowl and beat the heavily favored Baylor Bears. Here they are against what they like to call the big name programs. That's what they call schools like Penn State at UCF, and with another chance for a 4th quarter comeback.
Justin Holman at quarterback, the sophomore out of Snellville, Georgia. He's had such an impact in the 2nd half. Going to give it off to Wilson, and they're certainly not going to abandon the running game.
You said it, Mike. They've got tons of time. There's no reason to. Keep the defensive front honest so that when you do have to throw it, they don't know that it's going to be a pass and can just get into their pass rush and continue to tire them out a little bit.
The other thing I was going to say, maybe you can catch them dropping back looking for the pass and break one for 15 or 20. Penn State shows blitz, and they come. Holman underneath. Nice throw, completes it to Wharton, and Wharton, who was really good after the catch, gets awfully close.
Charlie Taft there on the right, longtime coach, the offensive coordinator. When he was hired by George O'Leary 4 years ago, UCF was dead last in offense in the country. And they, of course, Blake Bortles helped. But you can see Holman came in, Taft, a guy who was very clear with us. He said, I don't know which guy is a gamer yet. I've got to see him more under game conditions. And I think they may have found a gamer here.
Wharton's good run got them a 1st down at the 35. Pump fake and a throw. Boy, this kid's got an arm. Beautiful throw and completion to Perriman. And if you're open, he can fit it in there, can't he?
And now if you're James Franklin, you've got to start thinking about the clock as well. 3 timeouts. If UCF scores, gets the extra point, you're down 1, so you'd only need a field goal. So now Penn State with 3 timeouts needs to start considering what to do. Not now, because UCF is not really a scoring threat just yet. If they get inside the 30, the 25, the 20, you've got to start thinking about those timeouts.
And they're not under any pressure from the clock right now either. Still more than 2 minutes left. Is that an incomplete pass, or was the ball knocked out of his hand by Zettel? He got there.
The referee is saying incomplete now. I think they were waiting to see confirmation.
It was a delayed call. Zettel got a hand up and made a play.
Watch as Zettel gets great rush by Zettel. Good power. Arm was forward. Ball was on the palm. That's a good call. Incomplete pass.
2nd and 10. Pressure coming. Holman hangs in the pocket and throws incomplete. It looked like his receiver cut up inside and he threw it outside.
Well, you're definitely going to go for it on 4th down here. So if you're UCF, you don't have to call you're going to call something a route beyond the sticks, but you hope that your young quarterback knows we've got 2 downs here. You don't have to get it all here.
Third down and 10 from the Penn State 43-yard line. Nittany Lions by 6. The Knights are driving. Holman floats it down the sideline, intended for Perriman. There was some contact down there, but not enough to pull a flag.
Jordan Lucas doing a nice job. In college football, you don't have to turn and find the ball. You don't have to turn and look, and Lucas did a nice job of not running into the receiver, but he gets big. Watch Lucas as he throws his hands up to get big. He's not making too much contact. I think that's a good no call. And now UCF. Here it is. Here's the ball game. 4th and 10.
And I think this is a great timeout. You don't have to worry about the clock. If you don't score here, the clock is going to kill you anyway. Pete DeNovo really was ineffective in the passing game. Holman came on in the second half, and he has made a difference. 25 plays at the helm. He's generated 2 touchdowns and 174 yards in less than a half. So the ball game's on the line right now.
And if you're Holman, do not be afraid if the Red Sea parts and there's an open, do not be afraid to take off running, because Penn State is going to stay in coverage as long as they have to.
Will they bring pressure? Right now they show a 3-man rush, but they're creeping up as well. They come with 6. Holman hangs in the pocket, throws down the sideline, and the catch made at the 5. Holy cow, what a catch by Reese, and what a throw by Holman. This kid might really be special.
Remember we were talking about the underthrows by Hackenburg? That's a nice underthrow. The coverage is really good. Well, that's actually not an underthrow. That was thrown over the top, over the left outside shoulder. And it was terrific coverage there by Trevor Williams, just a better throw.
He just lost his balance at the end. Now 1st and goal. Quarterback draw. Touchdown, UCF. Are you kidding? I go back to the use of the timeouts earlier when they stopped the clock on 1st and 2nd down when Penn State was in scoring position and saved almost 2 minutes by doing it, and that allowed them to run their offense.
But I wonder if they saved too much. Minute 13, 3 timeouts. Yes. Christian Hackenburg.
All Penn State has is Hackenburg. He's already thrown for over 400 yards.
And they only need a field goal.
If I'm UCF, I'm not worried about saving too much time.
No.
You did what you needed to do. 5 drives by Holman, 3 touchdowns, 9 out of 14 for 204 yards passing, and they're liking him so much they're beating him up on the sideline.
You know, it's out at practice the other day. Almost every football practice you go to, the last practice of the week, the last thing you do is the hurry-up drill. Here's what we have. Well, Penn State, at their last practice here in Ireland, when James Franklin ran out, he said, 1:20 left, 1 timeout, and all we need is a field goal to win. Well, now it's 1:13, 3 timeouts, and a field goal to win. So this is even a better scenario than they ran the other day in practice. And, oh, by the way, they went down on the second-team defense, got the field goal for the win.
Haley and Walker on the return. This is Haley. This is where they've returned most of the kickoffs with success up the right side. But Hackenburg has at least got to get him in range. 4-man rush, good protection. Hackenburg underneath, intended for Kyle Carter. He was double-teamed, had the ball knocked away. Dominique Spencer was there, dropping back from his linebacker spot.
Good tight coverage. This defense for UCF.
I'll bet you one thing: nobody bites on a double move with 1:03 left. They've been starched.
You don't think Geno Lewis is going to get behind him again?
I don't think so. Second down for Hackenburg, directing traffic. Quick out, complete. That'll be shy of a first down, though, as Geno Lewis makes the catch underneath. Picks up about 7, so a big 3rd down here with now 59 seconds left.
UCF okay with that, playing off enough to allow that reception. Not too concerned about an 8-yard gain at this point.
No huddle, trying to catch that UCF defense short, but they line up well. And Hackenburg, deep throw. Tried to get Lewis deep. Much better coverage on him that time, and now it will be 4th and 3. Ozerites was not about to bite on that one.
First game for Tyson Summers as a defensive coordinator. He was the interim defensive coordinator in the Fiesta Bowl win, but wasn't named the full-time defensive coordinator until spring ball. Pretty good effort so far, but if I'm him, I would be telling my linebackers, watch a draw or a run, because the first down is the key here for Penn State.
Another play with a ball game on the line. Penn State must keep its drive alive to have a chance. Hackenburg, he's going to take off. And Hackenburg will have the first down.
Wonderful choice. I would think about, let's see how fast they get this off. 44 seconds. Clock will start here. Oh, that's too much time. They should have taken a timeout there.
Hackenburg shovels it to Belton. Belton trying to get out of bounds. Stays on his feet as long as he can. He's in UCF territory, but only 27 seconds to go.
After the first down, it took almost 10 seconds to get that snap, because once the chains were set, they didn't have to go very far. It started too soon. It seems like a small thing, but Penn State should have taken a timeout. They could have saved 8 seconds, which is 2 plays from scrimmage potentially that they just lost.
Sam Ficken hoping for an opportunity. Hackenburg burning some time here under pressure. Throws. The catch made at the 37-yard line. Clock continues.
Oh, you got to get a timeout. Oh,
Penn
this is bad.
3.
Well, wait a minute. Why is the clock?
First charge.
They did call the time.
Timeout.
There you go. Boy, that was. As that clock started to burn, I thought, are they not going to get a timeout? Felt that they should have got one before, but still, look at the time that has burned off this clock. Penn State has, in my opinion, wasted 11 seconds in the last two plays, and that could end up making the difference.
And right now they are on the outer edge of Ficken's range as a field goal kicker. Hackenburg with time. Quick out to Lewis. Lewis breaks a tackle. Lewis inside the 20 is going to be driven out of bounds with 9 seconds left. I don't think you can risk running another play. You got to go for the field goal.
If anything, just slide to the middle of the field and take a knee. Do not try anything here that could end up with a tipped ball or anything. I think this is just get it right, and because, yeah, I think Franklin's right. He's saying the ball was out of bounds. That looked to me. And that's what Franklin was mad about. Although I'm not sure anything was lost here. I'm not sure you'd have done anything but center the ball.
The line to gain was ruled
and
inbound.
Franklin is confused, as I am, why they wound the
charge
clock.
Timeout. Penn State. This is their second charge timeout.
I don't see how they can. Unless they blew the whistle before he went out of bounds.
Well, he's going backwards. So
he's going backwards, so it's not out of bounds by rule.
And what the Penn State sideline, though, saw was the official on that side did call timeout, which he's supposed to kill it, but then he wound it once they said that it's forward progress. So that was the right piece of officiating, but I don't think it mattered because you're still going to get Ficken at the end.
Sam Ficken has been in this situation so many times. He has been hero, and he has been GOAT. He's hit from 22, 24, and 33. This is 36 yards to win it. And he got it. Sam Ficken is the hero today. 4 field goals. 2 years ago, he missed 5 in one game against Virginia, including a chip shot that would have won it. How's that for a turnaround and redemption? And how's that for your first game to win it in this manner?
Helps to have number 14 on your side when you get the job at Penn State.
Huge win for Penn State. Let's go down to Janine.
We have seen it all now. We have seen it all. You're playing in a foreign country. You had no headsets. Your offensive coordinator had to call the game from the field. What's it like to win this game your first time with the Nittany Lions?
I'm just so happy for our players. I'm so happy for our fans.
Your quarterback set a new single-game passing record today. A young, inexperienced offensive line. What did you learn about your offense and your quarterback in particular in this game?
It wasn't pretty. We turned the ball over. We made penalties. But when we made plays when we had to, I'm so happy for Ficken.
You have a long plane ride back. You're going to be on a plane for about 10 hours. I know you're going to be watching tape of this game. When you watch this game back, what's going to stand out?
I just want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy it with our guys. I don't know what the flight regulations are, but we're going to be partying all the way back to the United States.
I hope I'm on your plane, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What a way to start the season, huh?
Yeah, and you know, James Franklin was getting emotional there, and I can see why.
Sure
you think
was.
about what has gone on at Penn State. Franklin's a guy from the state of Pennsylvania. Everybody was embarrassed about what happened at the Joe Paterno, the end of his tenure there, and all of a sudden you've got this energy of this young coaching staff and James Franklin. I can see why he would get emotional with this big one.
Terrific game. We've had a wonderful trip to Dublin, Ireland, and it paid off today. Hope you enjoyed ESPN College Football in the morning. Our final score, Penn State 26, Central Florida 24. Coming up, Sports Center.